Hello, welcome to Computer Science Hill. Today we're going to be looking at Python programming and some very basic concepts in programming in Python. We're going to be looking at how to input some values and display those values on the screen. We're also going to be looking at how to use variables to do that. So this is very much the bread and butter of programming. They're really essential skills that any programmer using Python really needs in order to move forward. So I'm going to be using Google Colab to demonstrate these tasks. This is a free programming tool from Google, and it's really useful for running these applications in a browser. You don't have to install anything locally onto your machine. Just install Google Colab in your Chrome browser. It's really easy to add, and yeah. Okay, so let's get started. So what we want to do within our program is allow the users to enter their name and then input their age, and then it should display hello and then their name, and you are, and then their age, years old, like you can see on the screen here. So this is what we're going to try and do today. So let's get started. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is create a variable, and this variable I'm going to call it name, and what this is a location in memory that will temporarily store values, and then we can use these this variable within our program in subsequent lines of code. So but first of all, I need to give the variable a value. So if I give it the value Mary, okay, and you can see here I've done this in speech marks. So this means this is a piece of text. It's actually called a string, which means it's a sequence of text-based characters, capital M-A-R-Y. The opening quote means that's where it starts, and the closing quote, that means where it ends. So if I want to print the value of name, okay, so print means display the value on the screen. I can use a print function to do this. So print is a built-in function, and it has you can tell when there's a built-in function being used in Python because there's these round brackets being used like so. So if I run that now, so yeah, it takes the value of the variable name, which I assigned Mary, and it's printed that on the screen. So now I don't want it to display Mary every time. I want the user to be able to enter their own name and it display that name. So let's have a go. So to do this, I'm going to use another built-in function called input. Okay, so input, and we need the round brackets. I don't need to enter anything into the brackets this time. So this basically just gets a value from the user, and it will assign that value that the user enters into the variable name, and the variable name should remember that and display it when we tell it to in this line of code here. So let's have a go. So now if I enter a different name, Bob, yeah, it prints the name Bob. Okay, so if I want to display a message before Bob, so if I want to display hello and then Bob, what I can do then is use another string, okay, in the print statement. So I need my opening speech mark, hello, then my closing speech mark, and I want to join this bit of text, this string, to the name variable, which contains the string of the value that the user entered. So if I enter a plus, so plus means to join this string with this string. So we're joining two text-based values together to form one string, and that's what it's going to display. So let's have a look. So if I enter Bob again, it should display, it's displayed hello Bob. So this isn't quite exactly what I want. So it's done exactly what I've programmed it to do, but this is not exactly what I want because it's printed it all as one word. So what I want to do now is go back to the hello string, put a comma after that, and then a space. And if I print that now, run that now, sorry, Bob. Yeah, so now it displays hello Bob and it's a bit nicer. So we've used the variable name, and this is really, variables are really useful because if you want to use that in another line of code afterwards as well, you can. So if I do print name plus, and then I'm going to join that with this string is great. So it should, if this time if I type in Bob, it should say hello Bob and Bob is great. So Bob, hello Bob, Bob is great. So it's remembered that the value of Bob in the variable name, and I can use that as and when I want now in subsequent lines of code. Okay, but that's not exactly what I want for this program. So now I want to be able to enter the age of the user. So to do that, I'm going to need a different variable. So I can create as many variables as I want in my program. They just have to have different names to each other. So this one, it makes sense to call it something to do with what it's actually storing. So I'm going to call it age. And this will also be equal to some input that the user enters. So now I need to make use of the age variable as well. So if I just type another print statement here, and if you remember, we wanted to display you are whatever years old. So I'm going to need a string here, you are, and then a space, and then I'm going to join that with the age variable, and then I'm going to join that with another string, years old. So if I enter Jane and then 30, it should display hello Jane, you are 30 years old. So let's give that a go. There you go, hello Jane, you are 30 years old. And again, I've missed out a space there, so I'm just going to put a space there. See if that works this time. There you go. Hello Jane, you are 30 years old. So that's how to use multiple variables to store input from the user and then display them within messages on the screen. If you notice the input statements, when we run the program, it doesn't really tell you what to enter. So you kind of have to just remember that the first thing that you need to enter is the name, and then the second thing is the age, all right, which isn't always ideal. So in these brackets here, you can enter a string to tell the user what to enter. So enter your name, there we go, and enter your age. This time when I run it, it says enter your name, Mary, 25. Hello Mary, you are 25 years old. So that just makes it a little bit nicer for the user when they're entering those values. And one last thing is, when you're joining two strings together in a print statement, you notice here we added a space and then we use the plus symbol. You don't have to use the plus symbol. You can use a comma to join two strings together in a print statement. When you use a comma, you don't have to add in a space because it adds in the space automatically in between the two strings, which can be quite useful sometimes. So if I change that to a comma, if I change that to these pluses to a commas here, and then remove the spaces before and after. So Bob 40, and it's has the same results. Hello Bob, you are 40 years old. There might be some reasons why one particular method is easier than another. Depends what you're doing exactly, but yeah, there's two different ways to join two different strings together in Python. Okay, thank you very much.